This is my 2001 BMW 325i, and this is a camper that I got off of Facebook Marketplace for $100.
And I'm going to be building the ultimate drift RV. If you were curious how this poor car ended up where it is now, here's the link. The production may not be as good as some of the newer videos I've made, but it's still interesting to watch. Unfortunately, I had buried this thing and had to move around an electric Miata, Cougar body swap, and 5.0 swapped E30. If you're interested in possibly seeing some of those projects, let me know below.
I have let this sit for a solid 6 months, maybe more. And it was just kind of like a joke, if I must say. I just kind of slippity-slappity things together and messed around with it. It actually turned into my daily for a little bit, which was interesting to say the least, but it did great and it was driving fine. So you may be asking, why did I park it? Somebody put some diesel in it. That's why. By accident. And then it just kind of sat and rotted over here. So we're going to change that. And now I'm like trying to make this more legit, so I'm trying to figure out how to get more money for this build. I'm going to be taking apart a lot of the stuff that I already did because it just wasn't done well. So I'm going to redo a bunch of stuff, and I got a bunch of extra metal sitting around from other stuff, so it'll be a way nicer build, and then it's going to be ridiculous. I'm not a big YouTuber, but I want to build cool stuff. And keep in mind, guys, I'm in Phoenix, and it's been like 110 every day, so I'm trying my best, guys. It's not fun to weld and grind in these conditions.
So my general idea is to completely tear apart the back end and strip it down to its essentials, with the goal of building a tubular bed frame with a roll bar. In order to do that, I will need some of the cheddar, which I don't have right now because I have been saving to do my motorcycle trip. If you're interested in that one, subscribe and stay tuned. Should be pretty awesome. One thing I should have purchased a long time ago was this cheap plasma cutter from Amazon, which I will link in the description. When I was doing the body swap, I easily spent over $100 on cutoff wheels and Sawzall blades, and it took forever. If I had gotten this thing, I could have done a better job and gotten it done for cheaper. I'm not sponsored by them, but I really do think this thing is worth the money if you're interested in one. In no time, I had it stripped down to its bare bones, and it was finally time to start tackling the camper. If you're wondering why it's on a K-Truck, it's because I am limited on space. If you're wondering what's up with the K-Truck, I actually bought this thing 5 years ago and found a sport bike engine to put in it and then had to sell it. But by some chance, I ended up buying it back and plan on working on it later in this year. The camper I got is for a long bed, so I have to shorten it a pretty considerable amount. If I didn't make it clear already, this thing is really just for mock-up, so I can get a feel of how everything will work, and honestly for a cool thumbnail to bring some attention, potentially, to help me fund this project when I get back.
This thing is absolutely ridiculous, and that's kind of what I wanted, but it just looks a little off, and somehow I'm gonna have to take like 8 inches because I want this top part to look as if it's like a truck, you know, which it is a truck kind of right now, right? But the proportions just seem a little off, and I feel like if I take 8 inches out of the floor so I don't have to change everything else and then like stitch everything together and use a bunch of sealer, then I think it'll be fine. At the end of the day, this thing is kind of just for jokes, and I'll build like a cool frame around it eventually when we cross that bridge. And then I think it'll be kind of cool, and maybe like later down the line build like an actual RV structure from scratch that comes on and off. Cool would that be if you can go to a drift event in this thing, take the thing off, sleep in it, go drift, and then when you're ready to leave, put it back on, right? How cool would that be? So this is just more of an experiment to see how everything would work. And yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna kind of test this out and see what works, what doesn't, and go from there, guys. So let's get back to cutting. A lot of cutting.
This honestly took me longer than I wanted and took more effort than expected. I still think it's all worth it because after modifying this old camper, I will get a rough idea of what the exterior will look like and get a feel of how I should build out the inside.
Throw me a rope here, I've drifted way too far. I see it sometimes behind those kind eyes. I see it sometimes behind those kind.
This was the final result after chopping it up, and the vision was starting to take shape a bit. The vision I didn't hope for was this massive mess that I had created and have to clean up. Next order of business is getting the diesel out of the tank. Luckily the car wasn't started with it, which makes life way easier. And after putting some fresh gas in it and a new battery, making sure all the grounds were there, she started right up. Now it's time to go drifting. I'm completely kidding, guys. I would not do that. This thing would be so unsafe. I just needed to move it around so I could put the camper away and so we could move on.
So I'm kind of putting this video out as more of a feeler and introduction, and we're just gonna start with reviving this thing a little bit, and something it really needs is shocks. And in our case, we definitely don't want OEM shocks because we're not doing OEM things, and we do want to be able to slide this thing. And we received a package from MaxPeedingRod. This is their top of the line right here. And I'm gonna be biased a little bit. This ain't my first time with MaxPeedingRods. And truthfully, I always buy the cheapest ones if I do buy MaxPeedingRods. And honestly, they've done the job. For the price, they've always been great. And I've always been curious about these because they're kind of, you know, in the realms of other coilover brands for about 500 to 600 bucks. And this is my first time experiencing them, so we're gonna check them out. First impressions are these are actually way nicer than I expected. Digging the finish. I like how they look, I like how they feel, but let's see how they fit on the car, and we're gonna go from there.
MaxPeedingRods is also offering a discount for you guys, so if you're interested in getting a set of coilovers, check the description and use a goddess at checkout. In less than 20 minutes I had them in, and what a world of a difference. The rears are even easier to install since everything is now exposed, but this will conclude this introduction to the Drift RV. I appreciate every single one of you for watching, and I hope to catch you at the next one.